Joining us now live from the United States is Dr. Mark Tomass, an instructor at the Harvard University Extension School. Professor Tomass, thank you very much for joining us again. We spoke before the press conference. Now I'm sure you must have listened to the press conference. Please tell me, what is your initial reaction?
My reaction is that it looks like nothing serious was resolved just by looking at the kind of answers that the two given to the reporters and their body language. It looks like the S-400 issue is still a matter of dispute. And it looks to me the five Republican senators who attended the meeting were there just for that. So they probably still expressed their concern, and I would think that they were the ones behind the retraction from the side of Trump on this issue. Because if you remember, the last time President Trump spoke about it, he was understanding of the problem. He presented himself as he understands why Turkey needed to get the S-400 because they couldn't get the Patriot. He was repeating what President Erdogan explained to him. Now he was more, I would say, more neutral on the subject. And on the question of Fathullah Gulen, it looks to me, from the nature of his answer, from the fact that he didn't actually answer the question, that he's not willing to extradite him. On the question of Mazloum Abdi, the military commander of the YPG, he also sounds like he will meet him, but he didn't say that I decided not to meet him. So it looks like the two things that they are in agreement on are the trade and Syria. On trade, they acknowledge they have 25 billion annual trade, and they want to increase it to 4 times. So that was okay, as long as they agree on the terms. And the other thing was Syria. Again, there was nothing new there regarding both the Turkish incursion into Syria and the establishment of the safe zones for the repatriation of the refugees. There was no objection from Trump. There was nothing said, nothing harshly or even unharshly said anything about it. So it looks like they are in agreement on what happened in Syria, and nothing new in that respect either. So it looks like there was no breakthrough on these subjects. So whatever it was a positive thing that they met. It was good for President Trump to show that he is meeting with the world leaders at the time when he is being impeached in Congress just next door.
Okay, now we will discuss Syria, but before we move on to Syria, I want to ask you this. It was interesting to see President Donald Trump corroborating Turkey's concerns when it comes to drawing a distinction between the Kurds and the YPG, because the President Donald Trump himself said that President Erdogan loves the Kurds. So what do you make up of that? What is your navigation through this?
No, I think he understands now. Probably somebody told him that not all of the Kurds are YPG members. He probably didn't even know that. So, I mean, he acknowledged what is a fact, what everybody else knows. So, yeah, it's good that he acknowledged that in public, and maybe it has some implication that he doesn't. On one hand, he doesn't want to say that all Kurds are terrorists, which is okay, which is fine. On the other hand, he was a bit wishy-washy on the question of the YPG and the PKK itself. He said what was to the effect that we may not agree on how to define who a terrorist is. Indirectly, that's what he said, and I think that's what he said in the context of Mazloum Abdi. Because I believe he said that because he still wants to receive him. So yeah, I mean, it's an advance that he mentions this in public to distinguish between Kurds and the YPG. On the other hand, again, nothing new for us.
And again, it was interesting to see President Donald Trump saying that the future of Middle East is more important for him than the impeachment proceedings, which are currently underway at Capitol Hill. Do you really believe that?
Well, not really. I think he is very worried about the impeachment, although he is worried in a tactical way, not strategic way, because he knows that he will not be removed from office. But I'm sure while he was in discussion, during discussions with the president of Turkey, he was thinking about what was happening on the other side. But he also wanted to belittle that whole process by showing that he's meeting with presidents and he's doing important things, and all of that goes in the realm of gossip, in the realm of witch hunting, as he refers to it. So I think he is, of course, worried because he's very sensitive about what is said about him. I mean, even somebody who is not significant at all, he says something about him, he responds in a tweet. So he's worried about what's happening, and he doesn't want bad things to be said about him, knowing his character.
Okay, now, Professor, let's talk about Syria. This meeting between the U.S. president and the Turkish president more or less took place because of Syria. Now, I want to focus on what were the expectations from this meeting regarding Syria and what did we get out of it? What is your navigation through this?
To be honest with you, Jafar, I didn't expect anything drastic to change regarding this position, because the fact that the U.S. troops have moved south, they went away from the border area. And Donald Trump publicly stated that they are not going to be there for hundreds of years, and they are not willing to. They never said that they are there to protect the Kurds in particular. So he had no commitment towards the project of the YPG to establish a separate state. So he said that already a while ago. So I don't see any relevance regarding this meeting to what he said. I think he is comfortable with what he said, and I think he's going to pursue that policy. The only new thing is the oil fields, and he didn't mention them here. Nobody asked him about the oil fields, at least until because at the end of I was watching the press conference. The end of it was they stopped broadcasting it for some reason, but I doubt if anybody asked him about it. So I don't think there was anything. They were expecting anything specific about Syria that is different than what we already know. From what he said, it looks like he agrees with the process of settling the area that is now occupied by Turkey, settling it with Syrian refugees that are now within Turkey to bring them into northern Syria. That he's okay with it, and he looks like it's okay. He's okay with the current situation with Russia because he didn't say anything about it.
Okay,
so
another statement.
I don't think there's anything.
Another statement that caught my attention came from President Erdogan. He said that the United States and Turkey can work together to bring peace and stability to Syria. But is that possible now, given the fact that Turkey is cooperating with Russia in northern Syria? So how do you think, if possible, how do you think it is going to play out?
I think it's really irrelevant what he said regarding this particular case. The fact that they are out, the fact that the U.S. troops are out of the conflict region, I think it was more of a general nice thing to say, because he still wants, at least on the rhetorical level, to maintain his special relationship with Turkey, that Turkey is part of NATO. He reminded us of that at the beginning. Because for Turkey to continue this path of moving towards Russia, turning into a regional power, an independent regional power, and in close relationship with Russia, as opposed to the United States, is a pure loss for the United States, a pure loss for NATO. So he doesn't want to encourage that trend. But there is nothing practical that was accomplished in this meeting that will bring Turkey back to NATO, full-fledged back to NATO. So I don't see what he said. I don't interpret what he said that has any practical implications other than presenting or putting a positive spin on the meeting itself to show it as a success.
Okay. Now, Professor, let's talk about the refugees. We did see some statements from both President Erdogan and President Donald Trump regarding the refugees. And what was interesting to see is the fact that President Donald Trump accused European countries of not doing enough with regards to the refugees. What is your navigation through this?
Yeah, I agree with him. I mean, not only not done enough regarding refugees, the Europeans have been riding on the back of the United States for a long time. This is the gut feeling. This is the initial policy of Trump that he had wanted to change, that the U.S. is doing things for free for Europe, and I think this goes into the same context. So there was a policy blunder, a foreign policy blunder, and Europe doesn't want to carry the cost of that blunder. So I think President Trump is right in blaming Europe of not taking care of the fallout. I think Europe should contribute more for the repatriation of the refugees and for taking the ISIS fighters or doing something with them, handling the process of bringing them to trial or solving that problem. It shouldn't be the problem that only Turkey should be facing. So I think he was right about it.
Okay, Professor, my last question to you. The main aim of this meeting between President Trump and President Erdogan was to rebuild the trust between Turkey and the United States. Has it been achieved?
Well, as far as President Trump is concerned, the answer is yes, between him and President Erdogan, because his statement, his letter to President Erdogan, I mean, this was his personal style. This is how he talks. But the letter was interpreted worldwide as an offensive letter. And of course, it is offensive in world standards. It is offensive, especially offensive in Middle Eastern standard. But for Donald Trump, it wasn't. It was an ordinary thing. He says this. He talks like that towards everybody. So for him, it was probably showing to the public, look, we are still on good terms. He's still a good friend of mine. We are happy to have him here. So it was a face-saving process for President Trump. President Erdogan, he mentioned that in some indirect way that I returned the letter to him, meaning I did tell him I'm not happy with what you wrote. So it was more like to show that he had noted this, interpreted as an insult, and he returned it to him, which is another insult, one to one. But it was good for both of them that they have appeared before the masses that they are okay with each other. So on public relations, in a public relations sense, I think the meeting was a success. Regarding substance, I think we are exactly where we were before the meeting.
All right, Dr. Mark Tomass, thank you very much. It's always good to talk to you. Thank you very much.